Right here. This is where our house used to be. It's hard to even imagine now. Such a big house, just gone.
For more than 100 years, coal has shaped this landscape in eastern Germany. Here in Saxony-Anhalt, entire villages were razed to the ground and their inhabitants relocated so that open-pit mining could expand. But with Germany committing to phase out the fossil fuel by 2038 at the latest, the days of coal mining are coming to an end. And many are asking, what happens when an entire industry is dismantled bit by bit? Germany has provided nearly 5 billion euros in funds to help the region manage the transition and ensure prosperity.
It's basically the largest build in the history of our country. This is an important contribution to structural change.
But how convinced are the people in the region really? Is money alone enough to get everyone on board?
So our house was right around the corner here. Here was the driveway, the garage, and then we had the living room window here.
Anke Meinhardt shows me the place where she spent her childhood. There used to be an entire village here, Großgrimma, even though there's hardly anything left to remind us of it.
It's weird to think that such a big house used to stand here and now everything is green and in bloom.
About 30 years ago, the village's 800 residents were relocated, even the cemetery. The houses were torn down. To get to the treasure buried beneath the ground, lignite. But the plan to mine it was abandoned. In 2020, the German parliament passed a law to phase out coal mining by 2038 at the latest, as part of its effort to protect the climate and the environment.
With this decision, the fossil fuel era will come to an irrevocable end.
By that time, Anke Meinhardt had long since moved away. Most of the residents in Großgrimma had settled down here in a new community a few kilometers away. They had been compensated for their old homes by the mine's operating company, which earned the new community here the nickname Gold Dust Settlement. Meinhardt feels at home here. She serves on the city council for the Social Democrats. She has never regretted the move, even though the coal beneath her old village is no longer needed. But she has her doubts about phasing out coal.
The people who live here, including those who are currently working in the mining industry, they're really, really sad. They're worried about the future. And that's understandable because no one can tell them what is going to happen next. Of course, the companies want to restructure towards green energy, but just how many jobs are going to be left after that?
And there's something else that will disappear with the end of mining, says researcher Pia Kahlfuß.
First and foremost, lignite leaves a void that has long shaped the region's identity.
With jobs at risk and people's sense of identity being questioned, Germany is providing 4.8 billion in funding for Saxony-Anhalt, while the EU is contributing an additional 364 million. In total, more than 5.1 billion euros are to be allocated to the state. One of the projects funded in this way is the construction of a so-called education campus in the town of Naumburg, home to around 30,000 people. Damaris Berger from the local Department of Education takes me on a tour of the construction site.
This is basically the largest construction project in the history of our country. And what's being built here is a school complex. Several schools are set to move in there.
The idea, a school for everyone in grades 5 to 10, including children with learning disabilities. It also offers career preparation, including using modern tools and equipment.
Right now, everything is separate. We have general academic education followed by vocational training, but we want to bring them together on campus, which means students can explore their options much earlier and get a taste of different careers much sooner.
At first glance, that makes sense. But I still wonder whether a school like that is enough to help prepare the region for the future and create new jobs.
Structural change begins with a good education. We need skilled workers for the region, and we need them to be well trained. Companies keep telling us this, and we believe that this campus can make a very important contribution.
At least here I can already see exactly what's being done with the funding. In many other cases, projects are still in the planning stages, such as investments in green energy. That's why many people here don't yet feel the change. To many, it remains abstract. This is how Anke Meinhardt feels too. Her mother was the last mayor of the former village. She organized the relocation back then. Even though they look at old photos together from time to time, they don't look back on the old village with nostalgia. Anke Meinhardt, however, feels that the structural change isn't really going well. She thinks there's no overall plan. And sometimes she wonders where the money is going.
When people see that structural change funds are going to a cathedral in another town to help preserve it, they ask themselves, how can that be? Why are they getting it when we need it right here in this very place? And I think that's just a little hard for people to understand.
Researcher Pia Karlfuß is aware of such reservations.
It's a valid criticism that funds are being allocated to infrastructure projects, or, for that matter, projects that were planned long in advance, that don't really have anything to do with structural change as such. I can certainly understand why that might cause some frustration and anger, and I think that's something policymakers should take to heart.
Back on the side where Meinhardt's village once stood, nothing will happen here in the foreseeable future. Nature is reclaiming this patch of land. Nevertheless, Anke Meinhardt remains optimistic about the future of her region.
I have high hopes for the younger generation, and I'm counting on them to help come up with many innovative ideas. Of course, a lot has depended on coal, so companies will just have to adapt. But I hope that with the help of bright minds, that change will happen.